Welcome to Inside Mental Health with Debbie. I'm your host, Debbie Mulder. On today's show, we are going to talk about adolescent mental health. With the advancement of technology and social media, we are seeing new ways for our kids to be bullied and dealing with mental health issues at an alarming rate. We have with us today Laura DiPietro from New Path Youth and Family Services. New Path offers a range of free child and youth mental health services and is the lead agency for child and youth mental health in Simcoe County. Laura is an adolescent outreach counselor working within the school board, supporting youth, and I'm happy to have her here today. So welcome to the show, Laura. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Laura.
Thank you, Deb, for having me.
When it comes to the importance of mental health, youth are especially at risk. And it's not easy for them to deal with the crisis and depression that they're facing at school, as well as manage their emotions the same way adults can. I'm just wondering from your perspective, what are some common mental health issues among adolescents? What are you seeing?
Well, here at New Path, we're seeing a lot of mental health stress during the pandemic. We're also seeing anxiety, depression, substance abuse, self-harm, and suicidal ideations, as well as, teens are living with their parents, and some of them have some of these mental health issues and addiction disorders too.
Right. Is there a stigma among youth about mental health?
Yes, there's definitely a stigma about youth and mental health. Youth are, sometimes people misunderstand youth. There's a lot of fear in reaching out for help. And some youth, unfortunately, who've had mental health illnesses have been subjected to prejudice and also people judging them. And that has made it really hard on youth in the sense that they feel very hopeless and also sometimes shame in reaching out and getting a diagnosis and treatment. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And then along with family issues as well. You got the mental health issues and then you got the family issues, and then combining all of that, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What are some signs and symptoms that would indicate that a youth might be struggling with a mental health issue?
Well, you might see a sudden grade drop when they're in school. You also might see a lot more irritability, an overwhelming sense of not being able to handle things. Also, you might see some cutting. You might see them feeling that they can't make it to school, usually attendance and productivity and their assignments and handing them in. A lot of youth feel it's hard to concentrate. They're overly sensitive to what people say and might react right away without thinking, being quite impulsive. Some youth might hear sounds or voices from other, like on the paranoia kind of continuum. They might feel that no matter what they do is not going to make a difference. They might self-isolate and stop doing the things that they typically would be doing, like hanging out with friends. They might be staying in their room. They might not be participating in family activities. They might be crying. They might be yelling. They might be, there's just so many. They might feel tired, lack of motivation. We really see like fatigue a lot lately, especially since the pandemic, that it's been hard to get through the day with Zoom and all of the remote classrooms and stuff. So you can see there's lots.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder about the longevity. So, I mean, it may be a few days where they are feeling fatigue or, tired or crying. how long would you say you need to be able to see these symptoms before you realize, okay, we need to do something about this?
Definitely when they're going on for longer periods of time, like, we see in youth, it's gone on a couple months, maybe 6 months to a year, and it's not getting any better. When they're using a good sleep hygiene, they're eating well and they're exercising. When it's continuing, and they're getting a lot of sleepless nights and they're staying awake a lot more than usual, then that's when I would say definitely there's something more going on, and potentially like the onset of a mental health illness.
You mentioned cutting. I wonder if you could just elaborate on that a little bit more, just for the audience, so that they understand what.
Some youth will actually turn on themselves and start cutting, very basic surfaces like a paper clip, scratching, to deeper cuts, and watching. We've seen youth kind of cut themselves like on their upper thigh or near their chest or on their arms. If you start seeing kind of those things on youth's arms, that's when, letting them know 1 in 5 youth are going through these issues and they're not alone. And, by seeking help, we can certainly help them work through those difficulties.
Yeah, yeah. And, as an adult, as a parent, a guardian, for us, we may know when we are ready to seek treatment, or we might know and say to a youth, we need to get you some support. How do you know that a youth is ready for therapy?
Youth, it's amazing when they start reaching out to a teacher, to a parent, or a caregiver, or a chaplain in the Catholic school system, or even a guidance counselor or a coach. Then listen and say, we're here for you and it's okay. This is 1 in 5 in our children and youth in Canada that are experiencing this, and you're not alone. And, we ask them to kind of call into our services. Our number is 705-725-7656. If you're in the lower part of our region, in the 905 region, it's 1-866-566-7656, or email us at info@newpath.ca, and we'll get you hooked up with the help that you need.
Amazing.
In our schools also, Deb, like teens and children can reach out to teachers, and they can fill out a form, and it'll get to New Path through the school system. And in our high schools, it's obviously through the guidance department. All of the teachers can email the request for counseling if a student reaches out to the guidance departments, and it'll get to us. The only difference in our Catholic school systems is that if you're under the age of 16, you have to get parental consent, and it still goes through the same way, through guidance, and it will eventually get to New Path. The other thing is some youth will self-refer through friends. They'll find out about a service and they may call directly into New Path and book an appointment. Right now we're offering in-person, virtual, and by phone. So there's many ways we can reach out to you now since the pandemic, with all the new training everybody's gotten.
Fantastic. You mentioned part about a family too, being able to connect. Would you encourage family engagement in the process of supporting youth with their mental health? And I know that you work within the school. Does it give you much opportunity to engage with the family, and would you encourage that?
Well, here at New Path, we work closely with youth around their options. They can invite whoever they would like to into the process of counseling. And obviously, if they're reaching out to their families, it can be a richer service for a youth, that parents can learn how to support them in their mental health journey. So definitely they have their rights. So definitely if they want them involved, we want them involved, we'll reach out to them.
Right. When it comes to the stigma of mental health, do you find that collectively for youth, their friends and, their peers are reaching out for help? Or do you see that they're kind of hesitant about talking about their mental health?
Well, especially this time last year, since the pandemic has started, 13 more percent of youth have reached out in my program specifically. And it's pretty amazing here at New Path to see that other youth are reaching out and getting the word out that, if we talk, we can all work through these issues together.
That's a lot, 13 more percent. Do you know why that is?
I think, youth actually look forward to talking to someone outside of their family, definitely in this pandemic. We've also supported a lot of parents and children and youth in feeling less anxious during the pandemic and letting them know about webinars and websites that would be helpful and what you can do during these anxious times, right, for families when we're spending all this time together. And it's not typical that teenagers would be spending that much time with their families just in trying to keep safe, right?
Right. What would you suggest families do to support their youth who might be struggling with their mental health? And I know that you offer a lot of programs, but what would you suggest families do to support?
I would say, first of all, give us a call. At those numbers that I mentioned, I can say them again. It's 705-725-7656 here at New Path. And also our email at info@newpath.ca. And we would be happy to talk to you about any of the resources and the child and youth and family programs that we offer here at New Path that could be specific to you and your child.
Yeah.
Also, we support them, I guess, by, just letting families know we're here. We have a website. Please feel free to look at it. It tells you all of the programs that you specifically might be interested in before you call, or reach out to us through the schools. And right now, only it's kind of through the youth and children at the school, but we can certainly let them know and send information home. There's many ways. There's also some really great websites that we can turn families on to that also can be quite helpful. One that comes to mind for me is like the www.anxietycanada.com, which is great because it talks about children, youth, and families. And, it's put together with some really good research behind it. And, we also have Children's Mental Health Ontario as well, which is a great guideline too.
That's amazing. That's really awesome. And I think, for parents to know too, that there are resources out there for them. And it's, maybe not just about getting support for your youth, but also for yourself as well. Because, having a child with mental health issues, it's hard. It's tough. Emotionally, you want to support, you want to do everything for your youth, but to know that there's support for parents as well.
Yeah, definitely. Parenting, we have parenting support programs, and some of them people can do self-directed. So definitely by calling us, we're able to connect you with all of those kind of resources and programs as to which one would best suit you, your family, or yourself, just parenting support.
That's fantastic. That's so great. I think this might be a good place to stop, because I would love to talk about your work and what you're doing at New Path, your program. And again, we'll talk about the resources that New Path offers and that is out there for parents, for youth who are really struggling with their mental health and need that support. So we're going to take a break.
Great.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside Mental Health with Debbie. We have Laura here from New Path, who is talking about adolescent mental health. We're talking about the stigma of mental health and ways to get support for our youth. Now, Laura, I want you to talk about the program that you work for at New Path. It's an amazing program, and I love what you do. So I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about it.
Thanks, Deb. Well, I work in the adolescent outreach program, which is in our neighboring high schools, both public and Catholic. And I get to work with teenagers from grade 9 right through to grade 12. And I feel like it's a privilege every day to hear their stories and to see the courage and bravery in our young people seeking help. Um, I work right now, I'm currently in St. Joe's, Barrie North, and Eastview, and my counterpart is in the other high schools.
Right. And you guys, I guess, work throughout Simcoe County because I know there are some adolescent outreach counselors in Aurelia and you got Collingwood.
So we're in South Simcoe, we're also in Bradford, and we're also in Collingwood and Aurelia, and we have 2 workers in Barrie because of the population. So we're pretty lucky to have great spread out counseling services available to our youth.
And you are spread out in the public board and the Catholic board.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Has the program changed in relation to how the needs of youth have changed?
Definitely. We are in the schools because of transportation barriers, maybe financial barriers to get to us. Also, to work collaboratively with our school staff to support them in supporting these youth in staying in school and being able to cope with their mental health journey. And all the people we can get involved to kind of circle around our young people to build on their success.
So, what are some of the modalities that you utilize when working with adolescents?
Well, we're really lucky here at New Path. Like we're able to offer cognitive behavioral therapy, which is helping youth to kind of be aware of their triggers that kind of start their behavior off. Maybe also their thoughts, which could be self-defeating, and helping them to identify emotions and physical signs of what's going on for them as well. That could be an increased heart rate, my chest is tightening, things like that. And also how it impacts and influences their behavior and all of the relationships that go among all of those things, and helping them to come up with behavioral action plans that can help them kind of challenge some of those things and build a healthier mental life, for themselves. We call it mental wealth, and it's just great. Sometimes we partner up with some school staff around promoting that youth in being healthier at school. So they might be involved in some other programming, like we have jack.org in one of our schools. So they have a chapter to kind of promote more youth in reaching out for help, and also, teachers getting more involved in asking me questions so that they can kind of send youth our way. So sometimes we do presentations in the school. We also, like the MAD presentation, we're there in case anybody's triggered around anything, so we can help support youth as we're the trained professionals coming out. At New Path, we also offer narrative therapy. We also offer brief solution focus therapy and single session therapy as well. As well as we have group programs, not at the schools. Sometimes we've been able to offer them at the schools, but right now, due to the pandemic, we're offering virtual, phone, and hopefully back to in-person as we can, offering groups.
So youth can still utilize the program, whether or not they are in class or not.
Yeah, if there's a snow day, it's amazing. We can do virtual sessions now. Sometimes it just means a minor scheduling of, like yesterday, all my morning ones went to afternoon because they were in remote learning. And so being flexible, New Path, we try to meet the clients where they are. And now that's an amazing new technology we have. that's safe and secure through our OTN hub network. So we're able to reach out to youth wherever they are.
That's amazing. And would you do sessions with families?
Sometimes families are invited into the process, like by the youth in my program specifically. And sometimes it's educating and helping parents to follow through the treatment plan with their youth at home and supporting parents when a youth is trying to change a behavior, giving them techniques that can help like a youth calm down, whether that's like I just think in the CBT realm, it might be deep breathing, it might be progressive muscle relaxation, big words for squeeze and release kind of your muscle groups, and also maybe visualizations that they can use that can help youth to calm down at home when they're having a particularly stressful time, which has been for most parents this last 10 months during the pandemic has really been quite challenging for families, just around anxiety and stepping out into our communities to go grocery shopping, very simple things, right?
Yeah.
So I think when parents are a part of the team, it's one more person that the youth can have in their families. And, it takes away that stigma of reaching out for help that, this does exist in 1 in 5 of our children and youth out there. And we have to recognize it as being part of the community, right? Sometimes I always say it takes a village to raise a child, and, wherever they can reach out at school for help, from community partners who come in. It's not just myself. There's also mental health and addiction nurses that come into the school. There's also Canadian Mental Health for substance abuse issues, and myself. And then you also have school social workers. So guidance counselors have been phenomenal, and teachers and social workers in getting youth to the services they need. And I mostly deal with the youth that are dealing with issues not only in their home, but also maybe at school and in the community. So if they have social anxiety, it might be coming up with, a fear hierarchy plan to help them work through their fear from step 1 to overcoming their fear, maybe at step 10. And helping them to go out if they can't handle loud noises or whatever the problem is, that we can do it together and they're not alone.
That's awesome. So lots of support at schools. There are supports out there for youth, and so glad that you're bringing awareness to this and that people can know that there is support there for them.
Yeah, sometimes.
I'm wondering if you can kind of really quickly go step by step of how do we get in contact with somebody like you and take advantage of these services.
So if it's in the school environment, they can go into guidance and fill out a form if they feel they're able to do that. If not, they can talk to a teacher or even a special ed resource teacher, maybe that they're working with, and they can help them fill out the form and ask for a community service provider such as myself. And it will go then to the social worker, and then the social worker will get it to us here at New Path. The other way is that a youth can self-refer by calling into New Path at 705-725-7656 or info@newpath.ca and inquiring about the service, and we'll reach out to them.
I love that you have the number memorized, and maybe that goes towards how long you've been at New Path. If you can share that, how long have you been at New Path?
Well, I've been a part of New Path for the 21 years since they amalgamated, and 9 years before that in one of the neighboring agencies that formed New Path. So I've been 30 years here. Yeah.
That's amazing. So Laura knows her stuff. Laura knows what she's talking about. So you've been doing some awesome, awesome work in the community. How would you encourage parents, caregivers, guardians, teachers, anybody who interacts with youth? How would you encourage them to stay the course, seek treatment, and know that there is no shame in asking for help?
Well, definitely just saying reach out. When a youth reaches out to you, inform them about the different options that they have. Call New Path. We would be happy to talk with, a teacher about the programs we offer, with parents, tell you the wide range of services we offer, child, youth, and parents, around supporting people on their mental health journey, by calling our numbers and, just letting people know they're not alone. And this is 1 in 5 of our population here in Canada among child and youth. And so, that's a big percentage when we look at if we all kind of can do our part and let people know that we're here for them and guide them to our services, we'll be happy to help them.
Oh, Laura, thank you so much. I'm thrilled that you are on here. I'm thrilled that you're talking about what you do. And I want to thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today. And so I want to thank you all for watching as well. And I want you please to remember that Laura said it, you're not alone. Let's help to erase the stigma together.